This is Linda, and we're continuing the series on explaining American English, and this is lesson 6. It's about pronunciation, but we've covered the basics. I just have some tricks and tips to help you be understood better and to help you understand American speakers more. I have students from many different languages, and I'm also studying 2 languages, Spanish, which I've been around my whole life because I live in Texas. And then I've just recently started a new language, Korean, which is very different from the language that I know. And somebody walked by, distracted me. Okay. The same things keep happening when people from other languages are trying to speak English. So I am giving you a few tips to make it easier for you to understand American speakers and for American speakers to understand you. First tip, there are only 9 of these, so it won't take very long to go through them. Tip number 1. Adding ed to regular verbs. Now we have regular verbs in the past, they end in ed. All regular verbs in the past end in ed. Irregular verbs, it could be anything. But regular verbs, and there are hundreds of them, add ed to go to the past form. So this is a rule for regular verbs. After a voiceless sound, that means one that does not vibrate, after a voiceless sound, ed sounds like t. The letter T is also voiceless. It does not vibrate. For instance, walk, going to the past, we add ed, but we pronounce it walked. K doesn't vibrate, so we say T. We don't say walked. Stop, the P doesn't vibrate. We do sometimes double the last letter so that we can keep this short. Stop, stop, add ed becomes stopped. Bake, K doesn't vibrate, the E is silent. Bake, add ed, baked. All of the regular verbs will add a T sound for the ed if it doesn't vibrate. Now there are a few words in English that are not verbs, but they end in ed, such as the word rugged. This is rugged land, that means it's very rough, but that's the word. It wasn't a verb that added ed. These are all verbs, excuse me, that add ed. So, moving on, what happens if the end of the word, the verb, vibrates? Okay. After a voiced sound, ed sounds like a D, which is also voiced. D. Love, the E is silent, so the last sound we hear is V, that vibrates, V. So love, add ed, loved. Hug, double the G to keep this short. Hug, ed becomes hugged. Smile, silent E, so this is the last sound. Smile vibrates. Add ed, smiled. Hum, several of these do this. Double the M to keep this short. Hum, add ed, hummed. Loved, hugged, smiled, hummed. Got it? Okay. What happens though if the T and the D end the word and then you add ed? We can't just do T and D anymore. Adding just the T or D sound when the regular verb already ends in a T or D sound won't work. So ed has to be pronounced. Ed. Wait. We can't add a T or a D to that. They're too close together. So we have to say waited, waited. If it ends in a D, end, ed becomes ended, ended, waited. But every time we can, we're just going to say T or D. Many students at first want to say ed, ed, on every regular verb, but we don't say it that way. Only if we have to do we say ed. The rest of the time it's just t or d after those verbs. Okay, number 2. Here's the next hint. And that was more of a rule. This is more of just a suggested hint. Don't say which we usually write this way, after the end of a word that ends in a consonant sound. This is very common with many of my languages, including Korean, but others too. You want to say before you move on to the next sound with the V. You either leave the V off entirely and say ha, or you say have to. It's not have to go, it's have to go. If you say have a, English speakers hear the letter A because we pronounce A as many times. So we think you're going to name a noun. I have a dog. I have a car. So if you say I have a and then say to go, it's like, what? Where was the noun? I thought a noun was coming. So I have to go. I had to go. I want this. He is kind. He has money. She will stop at the store. Stop at. Has money. Want this. Is kind. Have to. Had to. No have a to. No is a kind. Nothing like that. No in between. Very, very important to be understood. It's very confusing because if you do the you're going to do it many times in a sentence. And by the end of the sentence, we're going, what? Because we're looking for nouns after an And here, I don't think we have any. Oh, has money, that is a noun. But we still don't want an in there. Okay, because has money doesn't make sense. Money is not countable, so it doesn't get an A. Okay, do say often, though. We use many, many times. It's one of our most favorite sounds. And it's not pretty. Sometimes speakers try to make it pretty. They say ah or aw. We don't make it pretty. It's just the whole mouth is totally relaxed. The mouth is barely open, and you push with the diaphragm, your stomach muscles. That's the sound. It's not pretty, but you can do it. Okay. The word a, here's when you use an The word a, unless followed by a vowel sound. I want a sandwich, a cup of tea. I can't use here because that starts with a vowel, so I'm going to use an apple, and a donut. You can spell donut 2 ways. This is the short way. A clock and a watch are alike. And this A was separate, I think, at one time, but now we put it together. Alike means they look the same, or they operate the same. Here they operate the same as well as look pretty close to the same. Let me read it one more time. I want a sandwich, a cup of tea, an apple, and a donut. A clock and a watch are alike. Okay. Another time we use and I've already mentioned this, but we need to see it specifically when you use the sound in the word the. The word the, unless followed by a vowel sound, the best of the desserts is the, no, can't say the, because this is apple. That's why I put a line under it instead of giving it a color. The best of the desserts is the apple pie. The car and the truck are in the garage if the weather is bad. The car and the truck are in the garage if the weather is bad. Okay. Another time we use a, like I said, it's so popular in English and it's so ugly, but we use it a lot. Not just for short U sound, but many other places. In unaccented syllables. Now in English, we stress one part of a word more than another. The part we stress, we say louder or stronger, is accented. In unaccented syllables, those that we say softer, if possible, we're going to say It doesn't always work. It may mess up the meaning and then we can't do it. But if we can, if it's not accented, we are going to say For example, the abundance of vanilla in the recipe was extravagant. Trav is the part that's accented, but we couldn't get by with changing this. It has to be X, so I left it alone. Trav is accented, extravagant. These are not accented, so we can use This one is sometimes recipe, if we're being careful, but I hear it many times recipe. Because it's not accented, we'll just say But this has two slight accents, recipe, recipe. So those two have their own vowel sounds. But this one is not accented at all, so we can make it The, I can't say the here because it starts with a vowel. The elephant. You can say elephant, but it sounds like you're trying too hard. Most people are going to say elephant on the sofa or the couch. The sofa weighed a ton. Now, why that elephant is on the couch or on the sofa, I can't tell you. It's not good for it to be there. This is just a funny sentence. The elephant on the sofa weighed a ton. This is just the sound of that that is that word. I don't have a rule for it. Now here we are, some other words. Computers. This is accented, pew. So this is just it's not computers or computers. It's computers. Control. Only the accent is on tro. Control. Now this U is already a short U, so I don't have to do anything about it, but it sounds that way. Imagine, I can't shorten those, able. So most of this is spoken with its regular vowel sound, but I can make that one imaginable. Quantities of material. Now you could say quantities, but that's, again, you're trying too hard. We're going to say quantities of material. The cinema will open in the evening. Let me read all of these one more time so you can hear how it works. The abundance of vanilla in the recipe was extravagant. The elephant on the sofa weighed a ton. Computers control unimaginable quantities of material. The cinema will open in the evening. Okay, I apologize again. It's crazy, but that's what we do. We like that because it's a lazy sound. You don't have to do much. You just barely open your mouth and that's it. We like lazy. Okay, now we're going to get rule number 4. This is so important. I've discovered, I didn't even think about it until I started teaching English, and I said, oh, you really need to know this or you won't be understood. For so many times, people are misunderstood because they're not doing these next 2 things, 4 and 5. So, make a quick stop or break after a T at the end of a word so we know it is there, rather than popping it, like t, that's a popping. Like right now, I'm going to stop right there. If I say right now, it's confusing. You didn't hear that? Was there a T there? Right now? What's right now? Right now. I didn't have to go right now, because then I'll end up saying right, stop, now, right now. And this one is very important. So many people are being asked, did you say you can or you can't? I don't know which answer you gave. The way you let them know for sure is to stop. I can't go. Now I know there's a T there because T is a stop sound. I can't go. If you don't stop and you say I can go, it sounds like I can go, but you want to say I can't go, and we know the T is there. It's a stop. I can't go. He isn't listening. You can't say he isn't listening. He isn't listening. There's a little stop. She won't try. So I want to go she won't try. She won't try. Then I know there's a T there because you stopped. That's the only difference. You stopped and then you said try. She won't try. Occasionally we do it with other letters besides T. I showed you an example here. K sometimes. Take care. Take care. Take care. If you say take care, if you say it too fast, we're not sure what you're saying. So take care. Take care. Many times we say that as relieving. Take care. Take care. A tiny, tiny break. He had drums. He was a musician. He had drums. So if I say he had drums, you can say that, but if you're having trouble being understood, just stop between the 2 Ds. Had drums. Sometimes it's not necessary and you want to just put them together, but if it's confusing, that's the way you do it. Not a had the drums, but had drums. He had drums. And with a P sometimes, help pets. You don't want to say help pets. You want to say help pets. Then we know there are 2 P's and there is a separation between them. So, one more time. Let's see where it starts. Okay. Right now, I can't go. He isn't listening. She won't try. Take care. He had drums. Help pets. Okay, and this is the last rule. Most of the time, let the last consonant of a word flow into the next word so the consonant sound doesn't get lost, and also to avoid unnecessary uhs. He takes his, so I go quickly from st, he takes his, and then quickly from S to T. He takes his time. He takes his time. Open all the doors. Wait until. I don't have to stop there. I can go ahead and say the T. Wait until. I'm in the car. The letter T, and sometimes the letter D, and sometimes the letter N can be said, I should have made this a different lesson, but I didn't. Or T, or D, and you just leave your tongue there. You can do it with wait until. I'm in the car. But putting these together when you can. See, before I was telling you to separate it. so that we could tell there was a T there, or sometimes another letter. But most of the time you want it to go right into the next word so that we don't lose the N. Open all the doors. There are many, many times when I have to encourage my students to do this because this consonant gets dropped. We don't hear it. But if you attach it to the next word, we hear it. Open all the door. Open all the doors. Open all the doors. Then we hear the N for sure. So as I hear my students talking, I often tell them, get that consonant and attach it to the next word. Then we hear it, because you're going to put more emphasis on it as you go into a new word. It really helps. Okay, that's the end of the lesson. Next time we will be doing something besides pronunciation. So this sign will not say sounding like American English anymore. It'll say something else. But I will continue the study of English in future videos. I hope this helped. See you later. Bye.